If I could go back, I'd never bulk. It gave me more muscle, sure, but it also gave me more body fat, more food obsession, and a body I wasn't happy in. I could have saved so much more time by doing what I do now. So if you're debating on going through a bulking and cutting phase, listen to this first. Starting with part 1, where my mistake came in. I struggled with weight loss already, which means I was easily overeating majority of my life. I decided to go on a bulk after I had lost around 30 pounds but didn't really gain much muscle. I kind of looked a little more flaccid, not toned. Yes, I was a lot lighter, but I didn't look fit, just smaller. So once I had lost the weight, that's when I started getting more into social media and the fitness industry there. All fitness trainers were saying is you need to bulk to grow more. I saw women going through bulking and cutting phases and decided, you know what, this is the only way to build muscle and then reveal it afterwards when I lose the fat. So I listened. I ate more, I lifted extra heavy, progressively overloaded, and I was able to gain a lot of muscle fast, but also a lot of body fat. Now, why is that? Because I already still needed the discipline to stay at the weight that I was at when I was smaller. Now, if you are someone who struggles to gain weight, the kind of journey you're gonna have is a little different from mine. But if you are someone who is starting a little overweight or lost a lot of weight already and is thinking of going on a bulk, this is especially for you. I ended up gaining back around 20 pounds. And even though I looked stronger, I also looked a little bit puffy, because ultimately what happened is when you are trying to bulk up, you are going very heavy at the gym. So I was heavy lifting 5 times a week, the most I could, and I was doing HIIT workouts to try and counteract all the fat gain that I would gain from my diet. At the end of the day, unless you go on a lean bulk, which is very, very difficult for a normal person, you're going to gain some fat as you are on this bulk. That is why there's a bulking and cutting phase, because the cutting phase is more to, yes, reveal all the fat that you had gained on top of the muscle that you had built. The issue is because I was heavy lifting so often and doing HIIT cardio all the time, my appetite was through the roof. It was very easy, not only because my appetite was already bigger because I struggled with losing weight, but also because I was overstressing my body. I'm convinced that a lot of women should not be going through a bulking phase because it pushes the girl's limits too much. At the end of the day, we have so many more hormones than a man does, and I'm convinced we cannot be consuming and exercising the way a man does because our bodies are not built for that. This has nothing to do with femininity, nothing to do with masculinity, and all of your preferences on your looks. This has all to do with overstressing your body. Our bodies as women can be much more stressed than a man's. A man goes through the same cycle every single day. We go through a different feeling in our body and different levels of our hormones every single day of the month for 28 to 30 days. So some days you might feel amazing going through this heavy lifting bulking phase, and others you probably feel awful. Your periods could also feel awful as well. Just because you're not under eating doesn't mean that when you're overstressing your body through exercise and over consuming through diet, that can still cause a lot of pressure and bad health in your body as well. So overall, I just did not feel confident in my body at all. That is something that I genuinely did not like about bulking, is that you have to go through an ugly phase to go to a pretty phase afterwards. And in this instance, you have another option instead of doing that. So here is part 2, what I should have done instead. Starting with around the first year and a half, I should have only started with heavy lifting in my lower body around 2 to 3 times a week. That is not enough times in your week or in your month to feel horrible. You're not heavy lifting or doing anything too crazily intense all days of the week, right? So I would have kept heavy lifting in my lower body to build more muscle in my lower body and glutes. Because at the end of the day, our lower body is much heavier and stronger than our upper body and abs. So it does take a lot of heavier weight to build something in that big area. I would have continued doing Pilates and light walking for my core and my upper body. Now, when I'm asking for Pilates, I would include some kind of sculpt-like workouts in there, such as light weights for the upper body. So for example, in a Pilates class, you're usually, yes, using the reformer if you're going to a reformer reformer, there is resistance for that upper body already. And I don't know if you've gone to a Pilates class, but that resistance is pretty heavy. It is pretty strong. So if you can incorporate something like that, or do mat Pilates that includes sculpt-like workouts, you can also do it at home. Just buy a few 4 to 2 pound weights and do some sculpt-like workouts, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That is already going to be enough muscle to build your upper body. Now, if you wanna look like a muscle mommy, this video might not be for you. I'm guessing that if you're on this video, it is because you want a video similar to mine. Walking comes in to lose body fat as well, but it's not the same as doing HIIT cardio. And the reason why we're doing light walking or just walking in general instead of HIIT cardio, same exact reason that walking will not overstress your body and will not cause appetite increase. So if you can burn just a little more calories in your day from walking and have it keep your diet in check, that is the goal here, to make your diet in check the most as you do this. But I know for a fact that your nutrition could get better. Yes, you're eating less, but you need to work on what you are eating as well. So in this phase here, you need to prioritize eating high protein more than ever. Now, it doesn't matter to eat your weight in protein, whatever, but eat more protein than you did last month in all of your meals, because that protein is going to be very helpful in building the amount of muscle you want in your body. That is the building block for your body. Not enough protein, not enough to build your muscles, period. And something that helps me a lot is to lower my sugar and carbs. If my breakfast is pancakes, I'm gonna make sure that my lunch is a salad. Things like that. Carbs and sugar raise your insulin levels. And if your insulin levels are high, your body fat is going to be the last thing that your body reaches for energy. The less carbs, the less sugar you have, the more your body's going to grab your fat instead for energy. So I'm not telling you to cut out carbs, but cutting down on them by half helps a lot in losing body fat to reveal the muscle that you are creating through your weightlifting and your protein diet. That combo right there alone would have kept me at a leaner state while still building muscle. Practically what I told you to do is kind of like a body recomp, right? You're losing fat and building muscle at the same time. I want to add a disclaimer here in part 3 as to why the bulk didn't work for me and how it doesn't work for a lot of people. A lot of women, including myself, can go through this bulking and cutting cycle and get very obsessive over it. I literally never felt full. When people said, oh, like you just stop before you're full, you're never satisfied, that couldn't work with me when I was bulking. I was just too overly stressed all over the place. It was just not gonna work for me. And then at some point I started to hate lifting. I felt like it was exhausting all the time. I felt stressed after it. Eventually I just realized my goal was not to look big and muscular in the first place. If you're here trying to lose weight and look more on the daintier, leaner side, going through what a muscle mommy does is not going to get you there, of course. I just wanted to look sculpted and feminine, and this is more like if you want to be a muscle mommy and be all gym ratty type, right? And that's just not what I wanted. If that's what you want, you can do that, but you can still do it in a way that doesn't overstress your body. It just might take a little longer. Now, part 4 is how I'm training now. So I've been in this for 4.5 years, but let's just say that for a year and a half, I did what I told you to do. Heavy lifting lower body, sculpting and core for Pilates, in your arms, walking, and then working on fixing up my diet even more with high protein and lowering my carbs and sugar. After about a year and a half, I probably would then kind of lean off of heavy lifting if I truly hated it. If you continue to love it, you are more than welcome to continue, and you will keep with those strong legs and that strong booty. But if you hate lifting, push through that year and a half, and then you can start to wean off of it and go fully to Pilates. The thing about Pilates though is that you are going to have your butt shrink a little bit. The only way that butt might not shrink too much or start to look flat is if you add some kind of more resistance to those glutes. For example, you could go to a more modern Pilates studio, such as a place that does the X-Former instead of the Reformer. Now, the X-Former is a modern X-Former machine versus Reformer is real classical Pilates. So this is the modern Pilates that adds that sculpt and adds more strength training than the Reformer does. That is what I would highly suggest you do. And then keep going the same with your upper body and core. There's always variations. There's always ways to make your workout even harder if you need to, such as using ankle weights. Things like that can help get you more toned as you continue to fix up your diet. Because at the end of the day, there is something you can do to fix up your diet more. Whether that is, oh, back then you fixed up your diet Monday through Friday, but then the weekend you were a little bit more lenient. Okay, well, on the weekend, yeah, you can still be lenient, but maybe portion control a little bit more, or work on your alcoholic drinks, or something like that can always be fixed. There's no way you are 100% perfect, or you would be as lean as a bodybuilder, okay? So always work on your diet throughout this and you'll continue to see progress, because at the end of the day, it probably is going to take you the amount of years that you've been not working out and working on your diet to get to the opposite of that. Part 5 has a little bit to do with the diet, and it is that I don't track my calories really. I will be mindful of things. So as you're doing this, it is still important to be mindful of your portions, but what you eat does matter, and eating high protein is going to be your biggest part. I usually strive for around my hand or a fist in protein per meal, and then about half the amount of carbs I have on the usual. Now, I would always add a veggie or fruit to my meal, and anything that you kick out, you add more in from somewhere else. So if you're cutting in half your carbs, the other half can be more vegetables, fruit, or protein. That's how I do it, so that I don't feel restricted in the amount of food I eat, in consuming just better things to get me towards my goal. Finally, these are my final thoughts. You don't need to bulk to build a strong body. You really don't. And you don't need to cut to get lean. Like, yes, you are cutting while you are doing this. At the end of the day, if you train your lifestyle for the body that you want. So for example, if the body that you want is doing Pilates whatever amount of times a week and doing strength training whatever times a week and working on this diet, they have the same height, they have the same starting point as you, it is very likely that if you do it as long as they've been doing it, you will get to the best version of yourself, the same way they're in their best version of themselves, right? I'm not telling you you can look exactly the same, but you can look your best version of yourself in your body. You just need the right combo of movement, nutrition, and consistency. And most importantly, it needs to fix you. It took me years to realize that, and I'm hoping that this video kind of stops you in your track, direct you towards a path that doesn't take you as long as it took me. So if this hit home for you, I'm coming out with a lean reset workout program that's coming out August 1st for the pre-sale, but we actually start August 22nd. So the pre-sale has the lowest price, and then afterwards we start. It's going to have a meal plan where it has 5 recipes for breakfast, 5 for lunch, 5 for dinner, 5 snacks, and 5 drink options. So have a group chat where everyone is gonna be in there from the challenge. We're gonna keep each other accountable, show how many steps we've done, what meals we had today, any questions. I will be in the group chat as well, answering you guys. And whenever you're going out to eat and you have a question on what you should choose from the menu, you can always add me in that group chat. Another thing is that there's gonna be a 6-week workout split. Exactly what I'm telling you to do is what will be in that split to get you started. Start towards the right path in your journey. It's exactly the training, diet, lifestyle that I wish I started with. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment what other topics you want me to talk about, because I'm always open to helping you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, because it does help me a lot and continues to make me feel motivated, share more amazing information and educate you guys. So have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.